and founder of Dedicated Media. We're here in El Segundo at his headquarters. He's holding this beautiful award. It's the USC Entrepreneur of the Year award, which he won in 2012. He's a proud USC alum, successful entrepreneur, and also a very hopeful Trojan football fan.
Fight on.
You went into USC in 1995.
Right.
And you were saying before how your sole purpose to go to USC was because of the entrepreneurship school.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of people go to school and they try to figure out what they want to do while they're in school. I actually chose SC because of the entrepreneurship program and the business program in general. I started an action sports clothing company when I was going through junior college before I was able to transfer, and I really wanted to try to see if I could accelerate that business. And by going to USC and actually taking the entrepreneurship courses, I was able to use the feasibility study, the business plan classes, all that stuff to actually look at the business and figure out if it was really a viable option for me. I had the great fortune to be able to be on the USC surf team, and one of the coaches there knew the guys who were Quicksilver really, really well. And basically he says, how'd you like an internship at Quicksilver? I said, sounds great. He picks up his phone, he says, yeah, I've got a guy, okay, I'll send him on Tuesday, hangs up. And on Tuesday I showed up to Quicksilver to work in the warehouse and work with their sales team and stuff as an intern. It was pretty amazing to see at that level what it takes to make a successful business. And I think through the feasibility study, through the internships, I did the internship 2 years in a row, it gave me a lot of insight on what it would be like to accelerate the business to the point where it could be a full-time operation.
Right, and you actually won an award while you were at SC as a top business out of your dorm room.
Right. One of my professors, Dr. Kathy Allen, submitted me for, there's a division of Entrepreneurship magazine that specifically focuses on startups, and it was basically the top 10 businesses to start from your dorm room. And basically what I was doing is I was working on kind of a margin. I would go and I would buy on credit, so that I had 30 days net terms, whatever, to pay off my t-shirt company, and then I would go and get them screened, and then I would sell them. And basically I had to sell it in the time between when the manufacturers were requiring payment, and so I could kind of keep the cash flow going. So it didn't require a ton of cash flow to get started, which I think was one of the triggers, and it was different than like a tutoring business or other things that maybe people think of as potential businesses to start from while you're in school.
And you were in stores too, you were selling your...
Right, so we got them into a couple of stores, surf shops and stuff like that in Orange County, and the reality is doing the manufacturing, doing the sales, going to school, all that kind of stuff, it just proved difficult to accelerate the business. But it was great to be able to see. I'd never heard of net terms before. I didn't even know what that meant, and so when the manufacturer says, what kind of terms do you need? I said, what kind of terms do you normally give?
Right, and I think that's for most people, you kind of learn as you go. You don't know everything, and so you're put in situations where you just kind of have to go with the flow and kind of almost put up a front to...
For sure, fake it till you make it.
Totally,
right?
yeah.
So yeah, it was a good way for me to be able to use the system at SC to kind of like understand how a business is run, actually not just hypothetically, but in practical use. When we started Dedicated, we had a pretty good understanding of what the business model needed to be because we'd already kind of worked in digital marketing in the past. So from that perspective, we didn't feel the need. We weren't raising institutional money. We literally borrowed $35,000 from my business partner's dad, paid it back in 3 months, and never took a dime of funding for the rest of the life of the business. We've been in business for 10 years and recently sold.
So then after that, what was the transition to MySpace?
Yeah, so I started working for a company that was called ResponseBase, also SC alums, Krista Wolf and Josh Berman, both MBA grads from USC, and a gentleman named Colin DeJaro, who was the VP of Sales. They were running a company called ResponseBase. It was direct response oriented, online, marketing business, and they were doing incredibly well. And they saw the idea of Friendster kind of having issues. It was up, it was down, but the idea of a social network really made a lot of sense to them. Back before we had like flash drives and other stuff like that, they had a website called MySpace. Then they were seeing some of the problems with Friendster, and they said, there's a real opportunity here. And so they decided to go full force into the MySpace opportunity, and it was great. I mean, I was able to see a business that when I started there was maybe 13 or 17 employees or something like that. And obviously by the time they got bought by Fox, you're talking about hundreds of employees. And really to see the acceleration of a business where at one point in time it was the #1 website in the world.
Now on your website it says that you guys aren't an ad company.
Right.
Can you expand a little bit more on that? Because I think people that maybe aren't using banners on the internet right now may not really know what exactly you guys do.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think advertising in its formats that are very obvious are starting to become less effective, right? So a banner ad that you're used to seeing on the top of ESPN or CNN or whatever, oftentimes they're actually showing that your eyes are moving over it, right? Because you've already been trained to know that that's a spot. So along the same lines as like, they've been doing product placement in TV shows and movies forever. Back to, Reese's Pieces from E.T. and all that kind of stuff. And now in what we'll call the native environment, a lot of the advertising can be put into a native format, blog postings and things like that, where the advertising isn't as blatant. And it's more of like a personal reference. If someone says, oh, I saw the best movie, you have to go see blank, right? You say, okay, well, I may have read a review in the LA Times or something, but I trust my friend who saw it, who fits my similar demographic or knows my taste, and so that's a personal reference to say, go see this.
For sure.
A lot of what we're doing now is the native advertising to say, here's a service we use, here's here's the shirt that I bought from Beyond the Rack, or here's the dress that I bought for little Susie at Zulily.
Right.
And so by seeing the product, understanding it's in a context of a blog posting or the social influencer, it allows kind of a closer connection between the brand and the consumer. So basically what we do is we we have a Wednesday, we have Innovation Wednesday, I got a little sign, I put it on the door, I said don't disturb, we're actually thinking about plans and ways to move the business forward. And if you get so stuck in your day-to-day of running the business and you don't stop to innovate, you stop becoming an entrepreneur and you're just a daily manager. And I think the day you'll become a daily manager and stop innovating and becoming an entrepreneur is the day I'll slam my head in the door. That's not my mentality. So the good news is I've hired staff around me that helps me take a vision and execute, and it allows me to kind of continue to work on the innovation side of the business.
So what was the catalyst when you were at MySpace to find your business partner to then start the business?
Sure, yeah. So they were making a transition. Obviously, they were in the process of being acquired and making a transition. And Chris, my business partner, was handling the media side of the business when they were a direct response oriented company, and I was handling the sales side of the business. The great news is we didn't really know each other that well. We just knew that the other person did a very, very good job at their task. And I think one of the challenges is a lot of times two sales guys get together and say, hey, look, we can do this. Well, who's going to handle accounting?
Right.
Who's going to handle operations? Two lawyers get together, two doctors, two anything, and it's like you have to have that counterpart. And the truth is, he's happier living in a spreadsheet and understanding the analytics, and for him, standing in front of 150 people having a conversation was very uncomfortable. Flip side is, I don't want to be looking at the spreadsheet, and I'd be much happier talking to people and motivating people. So I think that balance of the two people doing the exact opposite task led for a great partnership. We've been in business for 10 years. And my business partner and I both sit out on the floor, and we have a very good feeling for the pulse of the business.
Right.
And on a Friday we'll push a little beer cart around, and it's like we just kind of change the dynamic. I'm the one actually pushing the beer cart instead of sending the intern out to go do stuff. But it gives me a chance to spend time with people that honestly throughout the regular work week I may not have a ton of interaction with certain people in certain groups.
What would you say to a young entrepreneur that may not have the funds to pay for something this grandiose?
Right. I think the value of interactive businesses, online businesses, is they don't necessarily require a ton of capital, right? I mean, if you can find a need and you can solve a problem, then you can form a business.
Right.
And I think what a lot of people have is an idea. They say, I have an idea. I'm going to put washing machines in a gym so people can do their laundry and work out. I'm like, that sounds great. What happens when Bally's puts washing machines in their gym? It's like, oh, well, then my idea is not great. So I think what young entrepreneurs need to do is go beyond ideas and say, what problem am I actually solving?
So you're still involved with USC. What
Yep.
was it like to receive Entrepreneur of the Year award?
It's great. I mean, you know, as a student, I went to all of those, you know, the banquets, and always, you know, watched the entrepreneurs receive their awards and things. And over the years of kind of, you know, the networking days and things like that. And it was fantastic. I mean, the staff has been instrumental in my success, and it was truly the only chance I've ever had to go back and say thank you. It just feels good to be part of that cycle, because the professors are great, the university is great, but the best thing I learned was when, you know, the actual business people came in and talked about their successes, talked about their failures. You know, Paul Orfalea saying, Kinko's wasn't the first business I started. And so kind of it allows you to understand, look, these people are humble, and they say, you don't have to have all the answers the day you graduate at 22 years old.
Another 10 years down the road, where do you see dedicated media?
You know, I think it's exciting because as you see other mediums kind of struggling, digital is always the fastest growing. Now the digital advertising dollars are starting to get closer to pacing what you're seeing in radio and television, all those kind of things. And obviously things like print are starting to lag behind. And I think dedicated is strategically positioned because we are performance driven. Look, everyone needs new test drives, right? Everyone needs new subscribers, new customers, that kind of thing. As long as you can provide performance, Dedicated's going to have a good opportunity in the marketplace to continue to be a force in the marketplace.
What would you tell your 23-year-old self?
You know, the truth is I probably had a lifestyle where I said, I'd rather say, man, I probably shouldn't have, instead of, boy, I wish I would have.
Right.
And I think that holds true. I mean, I think I would encourage my 23-year-old self to, yeah, buy that car in Australia, drive it for a month, even though he had no idea how to get rid of it, you know, and continue to look at things as life lessons.
How do you define success?
I mean, at the end of the day, if I feel like I come home and I have a smile on my face, I feel like it's success, right? And it's not the amount of money or, you know, whether you won or lost some business, but it's just a feeling you get when you leave. If you felt like I worked hard today, right? And I moved the needle, and if you can continue to do that, then I feel like success is just an internal feeling of making sure that you're happy. What
is the importance of having a mentor?
I mean, I think that's why I go back, right? Because a lot of the things that I saw firsthand shaped how I've made decisions about my business. And I think good and bad, right? I mean, I think you have to have a good manager to understand what management means. You also have to have a bad manager. You have to actually understand what not to do.
Right.
And I think there's a little bit of pressure on kids to say, what are you going to do when you graduate? What are you going to do when you graduate?
I got that all the time, and it's very overwhelming.
Right.
And I still get that.
Right, yeah.
What do you do tomorrow?
The answer,
I don't know.
It's okay that the answer is I don't know.
Do you think you'll ever go back and teach?
I would love to, yeah, I would love to. You know, there was an opportunity that was bubbling towards the surface, you know, about 6 months or a year ago, and I've got a 10-month-old baby right now, but I think that's the eventual goal, that I can be giving back to the university.
So football season this year.
Yes.
What's your prediction?
Ooh, I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's good. We employ probably 25% of our staff are all SC fans, and we let everyone, you know, wear gear on Fridays.
If there's one thing you want students to take away, what would it be?
I mean, I think find something that you're passionate about, because life goes by pretty quick, and if you're doing something you don't love, it's too much time and too much effort is spent doing it if you don't love it.